While Uncharted ended with two exciting games, A Thief's End and Lost Legacy during its best years, The Last of Us has likely been Naughty Dog's most important game series for the past 20 years. It is surprising and interesting that The Last of Us has become so highly praised and loved with only two games. Even though the series may end with a third game, its popularity has never been higher and will likely keep growing as HBO releases more seasons of the show. Season 1 of HBO's The Last of Us was based on Part 1, though not exactly. However, from what is known about Season 2, adapting Part 2 will not be as simple. The Last of Us 2 is a more complex story than Part 1 because it has multiple interconnected viewpoints. HBO is reportedly planning for the show to last 4 seasons, which could push Naughty Dog to create The Last of Us Part 3. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem after all. Part 2 came out 7 years after The Last of Us 1. However, HBO's schedule for the live-action series suggests that the third game might need to wrap up the story sooner, especially with Intergalactic coming. Naughty Dog will likely want to focus entirely on Intergalactic and release it well before a third Last of Us game. Now that it has a brand new, exciting franchise, The Last of Us is still its biggest success, but with multiple remasters and remakes, whether essential or not, and a recent cancelled standalone multiplayer game, it would be best to keep The Last of Us on hold for now. This would allow the excitement around it to settle while Intergalactic gets the attention it deserves. Since nothing has been revealed about The Last of Us Part 3, it is very unlikely that it will come before Intergalactic. Modern AAA studios take years to develop major games, so it won't be surprising if Part 3 doesn't release until 2030 at the earliest. It will be interesting to see how its release lines up with the show's adaptation of its story. HBO's The Last of Us may not actually last 4 seasons, depending on how much of the game's story remains to be told. However, since this length has been discussed publicly, there have likely already been talks about how a Part 3 adaptation could fit into the series. It was previously suggested that Part 2 could be split into 2 seasons, with only 1 season reserved for Part 3. However, depending on how quickly each season is filmed and produced, Naughty Dog may not have much time to develop and release Part 3 before the show reaches that point. It would be strange if Naughty Dog let the show reveal Part 3's story before the game was released, and it would also be unusual if HBO chose not to adapt Part 3 at all. The game could still be 5 or more years away, but it will be interesting to see how the show and the sequel connect and how they influence each other, especially with Naughty Dog's busy schedule. So guys, what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments below, and also don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you soon.